The Reflection's Revenge. Chapter 1. The Unsettling Reflection. Sarah had always been a creature of habit. Her days were marked by a predictable rhythm. Wake up, coffee, work, dinner, and sleep. But lately, a strange disquiet had settled over her. It began with a subtle unease, a feeling of being watched, a sense of being followed by unseen eyes. The mirror in her bathroom was the culprit. It wasn't the antique piece she'd inherited from her grandmother, but a sleek modern one she'd bought on a whim. At first, it had seemed like a harmless indulgence, a way to admire her reflection and primp for the day. But now, it was a source of unease. The disquiet began with a feeling of being observed. She'd catch glimpses of movement in the mirror's surface, a flicker of light or shadow that seemed to shift and dance. At first, she dismissed it as a trick of the light or a figment of her imagination. But as the days passed, the disturbances grew more pronounced. One evening, as she was brushing her teeth, she noticed a strange distortion in her reflection. Her eyes seemed to darken, her expression twisted into a grimace. It was as if the mirror was reflecting a version of herself that she didn't recognize, a darker, more sinister side. Fear gripped her as she stared at the distorted image. She reached out to touch the glass, but her hand passed through it, as if it were merely an illusion. A cold shiver ran down her spine. The reflection in the mirror seemed to smirk, a knowing, almost predatory smile. From that moment on, Sarah's life took a terrifying turn. The reflection began to manipulate her actions, whispering insidious suggestions in her mind. It urged her to make rash decisions, to alienate her friends and family. She found herself behaving in ways that were completely out of character, driven by a compulsion she couldn't control. The mirror's influence extended beyond her mind. It began to manifest physically, altering her surroundings. Objects would move on their own, doors would slam shut, and eerie sounds would echo through the house. Sarah was convinced that the reflection was trying to trap her, to keep her forever within its grasp. As her sanity began to unravel, Sarah sought help from a therapist. But the therapist was unable to help. The reflection seemed to be a force beyond human understanding, a malevolent entity that had taken control of Sarah's life. Desperate and alone, Sarah turned to the one person she thought could help her, her grandmother. Her grandmother had always been a wise and compassionate woman, with a deep understanding of the supernatural. When Sarah told her about the mirror and the strange occurrences, her grandmother listened intently, her eyes filled with a knowing sadness. "The mirror," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "It's not just a mirror, my dear. It's a gateway, a portal to another dimension. And something dark has found its way through." Her grandmother explained that the reflection was a malevolent spirit, a creature of shadow and deceit. It had attached itself to Sarah, feeding on her fear and despair. The only way to defeat it, she said, was to confront it directly, to face the darkness within. With renewed determination, Sarah returned to her apartment. She stood before the mirror, her heart pounding with fear and anticipation. The reflection stared back at her, its eyes filled with malice. "I know what you are," Sarah declared, her voice steady. "You're a creature of darkness, a shadow of my own fear. But I won't let you control me anymore." The reflection laughed, a chilling guttural sound that echoed through the room. "You think you can defeat me, mortal," it sneered. "You are but a puppet on my string." Sarah took a deep breath. "I may be a puppet," she said, "but I'm breaking free of your strings." With a sudden surge of strength, she lunged forward, shattering the mirror with a single blow. The glass shattered into 1,000 pieces, and the reflection vanished, leaving behind only a sense of emptiness. As the dust settled, Sarah felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. She was free. The darkness that had consumed her was gone, replaced by a sense of peace and clarity. She had faced her fears, conquered the darkness, and emerged victorious. The ordeal had taken a toll on her, but she was determined to rebuild her life. She moved to a new apartment, leaving behind the haunted past. She made new friends, reconnected with old ones, and slowly but surely, she began to heal. The mirror, once a symbol of her torment, had become a lesson in resilience. It had taught her the importance of facing her fears, of confronting the darkness within. She had emerged from the shadows, stronger and wiser. And though the memory of the reflection would forever haunt her dreams, she knew that she had the strength to overcome any challenge that came her way. Chapter 2. A New Beginning. Sarah moved into a small, cozy apartment, a world away from the haunted dwelling she'd left behind. The new place was filled with sunlight, a stark contrast to the dim, shadowy rooms of her old home. With each passing day, she felt a sense of renewal, a hope that she could finally put the past behind her. However, the lingering effects of the ordeal were far from gone. Nightmares plagued her sleep, filled with distorted reflections and menacing whispers. She often found herself startled awake, her heart pounding in her chest. The fear, though diminished, still lurked in the corners of her mind. To distract herself, Sarah immersed herself in her work. She threw herself into her projects, finding solace in the rhythm of her tasks. But even at work, the reflection's influence lingered. She'd catch glimpses of distorted figures in the reflection of computer screens, or hear whispers in the quiet moments. One day, while working late, she experienced a particularly disturbing incident. The lights in the office began to flicker, casting eerie shadows across the walls. A cold draft swept through the room, sending shivers down her spine. As she turned to investigate, she saw a distorted image of herself in the glass of the water cooler. The reflection's eyes were black, its expression twisted into a malevolent grin. Fear seized her, and she stumbled backward, knocking over her chair. The reflection seemed to laugh, its eerie laughter echoing through the silent office. In a panic, Sarah fled the building, her heart pounding in her chest. She hailed a taxi and rushed home, locking herself in her apartment. The incident at work had shaken her to the core. She realized that the reflection's influence was far more pervasive than she had imagined. It was not confined to her personal space but could manifest in any environment, any situation. Determined to break free from its grasp, Sarah sought the help of a spiritual advisor. A kind and wise woman named Anya, she was known for her deep understanding of the metaphysical. Anya listened patiently as Sarah recounted her ordeal. The reflection, Anya said, her voice filled with a sense of calm, is a manifestation of your fear, a dark energy that feeds on your doubt and insecurity. To defeat it, you must confront your fears head-on, embrace your strength, and let go of the past. Anya suggested a series of spiritual practices to help Sarah cleanse her energy and strengthen her spirit. She recommended meditation, yoga, and spending time in nature. She also advised Sarah to surround herself with positive affirmations and to practice gratitude. Sarah embraced Anya's guidance with open arms. She began to meditate daily, focusing on her breath and clearing her mind. She practiced yoga, stretching her body and calming her spirit. She spent time in nature, walking in the park and feeling the connection to the earth. As she continued to practice these techniques, she began to notice a shift in her perception. The world seemed brighter, the people around her kinder. The fear that had once consumed her began to fade, replaced by a sense of peace and tranquility. The reflection, sensing its weakening hold, grew desperate. It intensified its attacks, sending more disturbing visions and haunting dreams. But Sarah was prepared. She met the darkness with light, the fear with courage. She refused to be intimidated. One night, as she lay in bed, she felt a cold draft, a familiar sensation. She opened her eyes to see the distorted reflection standing at the foot of her bed. Its eyes were black, its expression malevolent. "You think you've won," the reflection sneered. "But you're wrong. I will never truly be defeated." Sarah met the reflection's gaze, her eyes filled with unwavering determination. "You may persist," she said, her voice firm, "but I will not be broken. I am stronger than you." With a final defiant gesture, she closed her eyes and focused on her breath. The reflection wavered, its form growing indistinct. Slowly, it faded away, disappearing into the darkness. As the last vestiges of the reflection dissipated, Sarah felt a sense of profound peace. She had finally conquered the darkness within, emerging stronger and more resilient. The reflection was gone, but the lessons it had taught her would stay with her forever. Chapter 3. The Aftermath. The aftermath of the ordeal left Sarah feeling drained and disoriented. She had defeated the reflection, but the battle had taken a toll on her. The nightmares continued, though less frequent and less terrifying. She often found herself waking up in a cold sweat, her heart pounding. Physically, she felt weak and fatigued. Her body ached, as if it had been through a grueling physical ordeal. She visited a doctor, but no physical ailment could explain her symptoms. It was as if her body was still recovering from a spiritual battle. Her relationships with friends and family were strained. The strange behavior she had exhibited during the reflection's influence had alienated many. Some were hesitant to trust her again, and others simply didn't understand what she had gone through. Sarah sought solace in solitude. She spent long hours alone, reading, writing, and meditating. She found comfort in nature, often taking long walks in the park. The peace and tranquility of the natural world helped to soothe her troubled mind. As time passed, Sarah began to heal. The nightmares diminished, and her physical strength returned. She started to reconnect with her friends and family, explaining her behavior and apologizing for any hurt she had caused. One day, while walking in the park, Sarah met a kind and compassionate woman named Anya. Anya had a gentle spirit and a deep understanding of the human psyche. She listened patiently as Sarah recounted her ordeal. "What you've experienced," Anya said, her voice soft and soothing, "is a testament to your strength. You've faced a darkness that few people can comprehend. But you've emerged victorious." Anya suggested that Sarah join a support group for people who had experienced similar paranormal encounters. She believed that sharing her experiences with others who understood would help Sarah heal and move forward. Sarah was hesitant at first, but she eventually agreed. The support group provided a safe space for her to share her story and connect with others who had faced similar challenges. She found comfort in the shared experiences and the understanding of her fellow group members. Through the support group, Sarah discovered a new purpose. She wanted to help others who were struggling with the paranormal. She began to volunteer her time, offering guidance and support to those in need. She realized that her ordeal had not been in vain. It had transformed her into a beacon of hope, a guide for those lost in the darkness. Chapter 4. A New Beginning. To fully escape the past, Sarah decided to move to a new city, a place where she could start anew. She chose a small coastal town, known for its tranquility and natural beauty. The ocean air and the sound of the waves were a soothing balm to her soul. In her new home, Sarah found a sense of peace and contentment. She spent her days exploring the town, hiking in the nearby mountains, and volunteering at a local animal shelter. She also continued her spiritual practices, meditating and practicing yoga. One day, while volunteering at the animal shelter, Sarah met a kind and gentle man named Ethan. Ethan was a veterinarian, and he shared Sarah's love for animals. They quickly formed a bond, and soon they were inseparable. Ethan was a patient and understanding listener. He never judged Sarah for her past experiences, and he always offered a comforting word. With Ethan by her side, Sarah felt truly loved and supported. As their relationship deepened, Sarah realized that she was ready to open her heart to love again. She had learned from her past mistakes and was determined to build a healthy and fulfilling relationship. One evening, as they were watching the sunset over the ocean, Ethan turned to Sarah and said, "I love you, Sarah. I love you for who you are, for your strength, your courage, and your kindness." Sarah's heart swelled with love and gratitude. She had found happiness, a love that was pure and unconditional. She knew that with Ethan by her side, she could face any challenge, any darkness. The reflection had tried to destroy her, to consume her soul. But Sarah had emerged stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. She had learned that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. She had learned to embrace the light within herself and to share it with others. The reflection was gone, but its legacy lived on. It had taught Sarah the importance of resilience, of facing fears, and of embracing the power of love. And as she looked to the future, she knew that she was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 5. The Reflection's Legacy. Years later, Sarah was a renowned therapist, specializing in helping people who had experienced paranormal encounters. Her own ordeal had given her a unique perspective, allowing her to empathize with her clients on a profound level. One day, a young woman named Emily sought Sarah's help. Emily was plagued by recurring nightmares and strange occurrences in her home. She described a malevolent presence, a shadowy figure that seemed to watch her every move. As Sarah listened to Emily's story, a sense of déjà vu washed over her. The symptoms were eerily similar to her own experience with the reflection. She realized that the reflection, or a fragment of its essence, had somehow found a new host. Sarah knew she had to help Emily, but she also knew that this would be a dangerous undertaking. The reflection was a powerful entity, capable of manipulating reality and twisting minds. With renewed determination, Sarah delved into the mystery. She guided Emily through a series of spiritual practices, helping her to strengthen her mind and spirit. She also taught Emily how to confront her fears and face the darkness head-on. As Emily grew stronger, the reflection's influence began to weaken. The nightmares subsided, and the strange occurrences became less frequent. But the reflection was not defeated. It continued to lurk in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to strike. One night, the reflection made its move. It attacked Emily, dragging her into a terrifying nightmare realm. Sarah, sensing Emily's distress, reached out to her through astral projection. She battled the reflection, using all her strength and willpower to protect Emily. The battle was fierce, and Sarah was pushed to her limits. But she refused to give up. With a final surge of energy, she struck a decisive blow, banishing the reflection to the depths of the spirit world. Emily was saved, and Sarah emerged victorious once more. The reflection had been defeated, but its legacy remained. It had taught Sarah the importance of perseverance, the power of love, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. As Sarah continued her work as a therapist, she knew that the battle against the darkness was never truly over. But she also knew that with courage, compassion, and the power of the human spirit, we can overcome any challenge, no matter how dark. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more spooky tales. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Share this video with your friends and family, and let's spread the chills together. What did you think of the story? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions for future stories, please share them.